Everyone, welcome to Robotics, and today I'm going to be teaching the VorTX team how to use the Fusion 360 cam. So, if you don't know what cam is a software that the CNC uses in order to kind of calibrate and cut the metal really precisely. So, as you can see, I just had this pre-made one just to show you how it's going to look like once we finish up a piece. Uh, this tutorial is completely beginner friendly, and it's just going to show exactly how to use KiCam software and how to export it as well. So I'll be doing a whole step-by-step tutorial just to show the entire process. I'm just be walking through everything just so you guys can kind of get a grasp of exactly how you cam. Any questions or things you might have crossed along the way, I'll kind of teach y'all the best ways I learned from it. Yeah. Okay. So first things first, right? What you're gonna need to do is you need to actually get your file. So for cam, we use what is called a step file. So usually in CAD, someone will have to export the CAD as a step file, like the piece that they want specifically cut on the CNC. So what I'm going to do here for the sake of easiness here is I had one of my teammates send me a step file. So they wanted me to go cam this. So all I did was go over here and just download the file and got it straight into my computer. So next thing you do is you want to open up Fusion 360. If you are part of VorTX, should be in the drive, or if you're using the VorTX laptop, the drive will already be in there for you. So how you actually start putting the piece into Fusion 360? You got to go over here to upload, and you got to go over here to select file. So when you go to select your file, it's going to be like blah, 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 step file of the file that you want to cut. Then you just click that and you click open. And it's going to tell you if you want to upload, just hit confirm. And then right here, it's just going to be loading over here. That just means that it's uploading. Sometimes it takes maybe like a couple seconds, I'd say, no more than like 30 seconds really. It doesn't take too long. It's usually a pretty small file. So you just got to give it a sec for a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty accurate. Yeah, see, it's already finished already. So it's pretty nice. So once you go in, let's say for instance, right, you get sent a file and you have no idea like maybe what the thickness is, what the material is. I'd say for sure that material, definitely like look in the CAD or just ask the teammate who sent it to you what the material needed to cut. But for some reason maybe they can't tell you what the sizing, like what the thickness of the part is, or the sheet you need, then what I suggest you do is actually come over to units. Now, Fusion 360, their default, I believe, is just milliliters and kilograms. So you want to go over here to document settings and switch that over here to inches and ounces in mass. And just click OK. So this is good because if you go over here to the measure tool to inspect, just click this guy over here and this guy over here, you can see you get a distance of 0.125. So that tells us that this is a 1/8 piece of aluminum that's going to be cut to make this part. I know it's aluminum because my teammate told me that the part was going to be cut off of aluminum. So that is very important when it comes to cam. Now, obviously, this piece is going up. We obviously don't have the CNC cutting up. We need this piece facing down. That's how the CNC works. So how you actually make it face down is you right click on the part, you're gonna move and copy. Instead of doing face, move object face, you want to go move object bodies. So when you click this, I suggest holding control. So you can hold the middle right over here, and then just click this degree angle. I'm gonna do it like that. Yep. And then it doesn't matter how much you move it, just move it a bit until it gives you this blue. So you can type it in 9 degrees. Boom. Like that. So right here, a piece is perfectly flat, and that is ready for CNC. So this tutorial specifically is for 1/8 aluminum, though I'll probably make other tutorials, probably much quicker, showing you how to cut 1/4 polycarb, 1/8 polycarb, 1/16, all that stuff. But right now, I'm gonna just focus on 1/8 aluminum. So to go actually start camming, you want to go over here. So I was in design. All I did was go down here to manufacture. Manufacture is really when you start actually doing the cam software. So how it works over here is you got to go over here to setup. Just click the setup button. Now, machine, you don't click the machine at all. That you don't worry about at all. Trust me, don't worry about that. Over here, this is very crucial. This is the origin axis. This is going to tell the machine what its work origin is. So in our Meso 2 that we use, we usually like to have this point at the bottom left-hand side. So how I like to do that, right? I'm going to flip my Y, and I'm going to select, because I want to select where I have my y-axis here. Because you see how my y-axis is coming over here to here? I do not want my y-axis like that. I want to flip my y and my x-axis, because that's how it is on the Meso too. So I'm going to come over here, select this line. So now, as you can see, my axes are flipped. And then now I just got to flip these a couple times. Sometimes you do have to like kind of finesse it. It's not too bad usually, though I do have like some ways I like to do it. So something like that around. It's not cooperating too much. Sometimes it can be a little difficult. It's not usually too bad. Yeah, what I'll do actually, because I'll probably make this a bit easier, just move it to the side. You usually want this here in this corner. That's usually the best point for you. Select Y selection right over here. And as you can see, that's actually the perfect Y I want. So sometimes if it gets a little finicky, I suggest just delete the setup. All you need to do is just move it to the corner, move the Y to an axis like here, and make sure it's at the very top. So it's okay if like it starts being a little finicky, kind of like what you said right there. Just mess around with it on the Y-axis. Just make sure the Y is pointing up here, X is pointing up here, and Z is pointing up, because that tells the machine where exactly it needs to go. Last thing you're gonna do for setup is go over here to stock. We're gonna go to stock top offset. You want to make sure that is 0, like so. So that right there is your setup complete. So next thing you're gonna do is actually gonna start your 2D contour. This is actually what's gonna cut the material. So how this works right here is you want to force select your tool. Now, if you have the VorTX laptop, all you got to do is go to local or library, and it should have the end mill already set for you. It should be a 1/8 end mill. What I'll do in case y'all like need the presets, I have the presets. Just email me, uh, or send a comment to the VorTX account, or also I'll just send. I have a link down below description of the Amazon of the bit that we use in case you want that. But I'll just leave that there in case. But yeah, if you're part of VorTX, you just should have this in your local. Then really this spindle stuff you want to keep the same. Since this is aluminum 1/8, this is 1/8 aluminum, what you're gonna do is you're gonna switch the 50 for cutting feed rate to 65. Like so. And then your ramp feed rate, you want to switch that all the way over to 10. All right, those are some good numbers right there. Next thing you want to go actually is to heights. You don't want to go to geometry just yet. I like doing geometry. Personally, I like doing it at the very end, because I just like getting my settings out the way. So over here for retract height, you just simply want to go to model top. You leave feed height alone. Top height, same thing, model top. And then bottom height, you want to do stock bottom. Next thing you want to do is you want to come over here to passes. Yep, passes. And you want to come over here to preserve order. It is very important because once we start clicking the holes that we want to be CNC'd, we want to make sure that it's doing the holes of the chance we click them. So if I clicked this one first, it's going to do this hole first, and not maybe this hole, this hole, this hole. It's going to be in the order of which we click. Next, you're going to do multiple depths. And because we're doing 1/8, we're cutting 1/8 aluminum, we're going maximum roughing step down to be 0.0625. We always want it to be around a half of the top thickness of the material. So 0.625 inches, like so. Oh, I did one too many zeros. And there you go. So you just gotta check maximum roughing step time, make sure it is in the correct one. And then over here, you keep this, make sure you do finish only at final depth. And that is all your settings over here. So last thing I do is just go to linking. And the only thing I do linking is put keep tool down. And you gotta click OK. If you get this error, it is totally fine. All I do really, I just kind of like check, make sure everything's good. Just click no. And then now is the part where you select the geometry of where it's going to cut. So I'm going to select this whole force and just make sure everything looks good. As you can see, I got a green check. So it's telling me, hey, I'm able to CNC that bit. So that's good. Now I can select more of my geometry. So I'm going to select these two. Hopefully it should work. Cross my fingers. Yep, I got the green check. That's what you want to see. So what I like to do personally is once I have all my settings, this is like I said, it was for 1/8 aluminum. I like to click maybe a couple holes. I kind of like to do the small holes first and then go back and do the bigger holes slowly. So I'll just select the slow holes. I mean the smaller holes, I should say. So like these right here, these right here, and then these right here. Oops. If you misclick a hole, by the way, all you have to do is just press X and it'll delete your most recent hole you selected, like so. So I just click that. I got that green check. Everything's looking good. Now I will say one very crucial, very important thing, especially if you are working in VorTX camp. So our CNC, we use 1/8 end mills. We're 1/8 end mills, even though they are 1/8, so 0.125. It actually doesn't cut exactly at 0.125 because we're doing a 2D contour. So pretty much what that means is that when you're catting or when you're camming, your holes have to be, no matter what. I had to figure out this stumble just through trial and error. The holes have to be bigger than 0.166 and then just repeating sixes. So what I tell people to just keep it simple, make sure whatever hole you need CNC'd is at least bigger or equal to or bigger than 0.17 inches. Your hole has to be 0.17 inches or it's not going to be, it's going to give you a yellow error. We do not want that. So make sure, like, let's say you click a hole, it's giving you a red arrow and you have no idea why. Click the hole and it has to say either 0.17 or higher. If it's if it's below 0.17, it's probably because the hole is just too small for the end mill, even though technically it is 1/8. But just tell people, like, if you have an arrow, to make the holes bigger in CAD. Make sure they're bigger than 0.17. That is the main issue I've seen. All right, now that I've got that out the way, we can finish up the camp. So we just go over here to edit, and then let's go over here to pick these two up, those circles, those, and then just double check, make sure we're looking good. Yep, we're looking good. And then lastly, always, like I said, how I stress, make sure this is why I did preserve order, because always this last spot, kind of like the outer cut line, you always want to make sure it's the last thing cut, right? Because if you have a hole, like big one of these big holes cut after you've cut out the entire plate, your plate's gonna lift up. I noticed because it happened to me just today, actually. I accidentally had the cam to where it was cutting all over and I left one hole, just one singular hole that I left at the very end for it to CNC out. But because I had already done the cutout, the part lifted and I just had to scrap that whole entire piece. So just make sure not to do the mistakes I did. Make sure your outline at the very end is always this. It's never a hole inside. All your holes should be done before you do the outline, or else your part's just gonna lift up. Okay, just want to let you guys know. So once that's done, always before you post the process, you want to come over here to simulate. Simulate is going to just show you exactly what you need. So once you come here to simulate, you just want to go over here. You can change the speed here, and then you're just going to see your spindle right here. So because you can see it's just going in. It's a little slow actually. You can, yeah, it's much better. Yep, you kind of see it right there. It's just doing some cuts. And it does the circle right there. So those big circles, and really just making sure to simply just make sure like it's not doing anything crazy, right? We want to make sure because this path it's taking is exactly what the CNC is going to take once you set it up. But like I said, this is really only just for the cam. I'll probably make a separate CNC video for the Meso 2 later. But once you got this done, simulation looks good. Just exit. Everything's looking good. By the way, at the bottom right here, it says the time around how long it's going to take to CNC. So this piece should take relatively around 3 minutes to CNC. So not bad. Then how you actually post the process to show it or to put it to the meso, you want to go over here to setup. You want to do post process, and you want to make sure your post is to the meso, and you have a name and a number, and that you have an output folder, all this stuff. And I'm just gonna call this VorTX. Here, let me write text, right? VorTX turret plate, like so. And then last thing, make sure to go operations, make sure the 2D contour is checked. And all you got to do is go to post, like so. And you want to make sure at the bottom here, it says NC code successfully posted, because that tells us, hey, we have everything. That's look good. So what you do next, right, is in our CNC room, there's going to be a flash drive. You get that flash drive, you put it into your computer, and then when you go into your computer, you gotta locate NC programs. For me, I just go to Documents, I go to Fusion 360, I go to NC Programs, and right over there is the VorTX Toy Play NC. What you gotta do is just move that towards your flash drive. And then once that's done, eject your flash drive and connect it to the CNC. But that right there is exactly how you cam a 1/8 aluminum using Fusion 360. It is pretty simple. Like I said, once you get the basics, the numbers we pretty much keep relatively the same for 1/8 aluminum. I'll probably make a guide of how to do 1/4 polycarb, 1/8 polycarb, 1/16, all that stuff later. But this is right here specifically for 1/8 aluminum. But it should, most of it is pretty universal. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned a lot, and I'll see you in the next one.